share the slides. And as I am pulling them up, I will introduce our fabulous guest speaker. Tonight, we are joined by Erin Nyer. And Erin works in Pocahontas County and wears a couple of different hats. One as the youth health educator for WVU Extension, and then another one as the Pocahontas County Farm to School coordinator with the West Virginia Food and Farm Coalition. And she was a member of our first Sprout School cohort and did an awesome project and is now kind of thinking about a new project this year that connects entrepreneurship and farm to school. So I will let her tell you all more about that without further ado. Take it away, Erin.
Can I have my first line?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Uh,
Okay. Well, yeah, I feel like I don't need to introduce my jobs because Margaret did such a great job doing that. But yeah, I work for the Food and Farm Coalition and also WV's Family Nutrition Program. Like Margaret said, I wear a lot of hats, but they all really go well together because last week you guys talked about the nutrition education, right? And like learn, grow, eat, go, and that type of stuff. Yeah, so I get to teach all those fun classes, the gardening, nutrition classes, and they're my absolute favorite. So it's a lot of fun to go into the schools and to be able to do that. But I live in Pocahontas County, Snowshoe area. I have two little babies, William and Victoria, and they are full-blown garden babes. We have spring babies, it seems like. And I'm excited for Victoria's first year in the garden this year because she was just, like just sitting around last year, but this year she'll be up running around in the garden, and she's always in our house plants, so I have a feeling she will have a lot of fun in the garden playing in the dirt. And then we have two dogs, Douglas and Spruce, which Douglas is not a puppy anymore. That's the little basset hound right there. Yeah, he's like a full blown big old sausage dog, which I should have updated that picture, but he's pretty cute. And then, yeah, so we live here. We love to ski. We love the outdoors. And what's better than, living here and gardening? All right, so we are mainly going to talk about one of my schools today, my Marlinton Elementary School. So this is our school garden, and this is my absolute favorite garden. But I'm really sad this year because this garden was a part of a community garden, and it's just within walking distance of the school. But this year, like the community wants the garden to go away, so we will have to eventually build a new one on the school property, which kind of brought us to like the youth entrepreneur program this year to, just try something different. But this was a really beautiful garden. It was a great space for the kids. The bottom right picture here, you can see the little paint sticking out. That's a part of one of the learn, grow, eat, go lessons, the garden graffiti, which is always really fun to do with the kids. So we try to incorporate like as much nutrition things in the garden, like when they're walking around, just the more they kind of see those things of what those, fruits and vegetables can do and provide for their body. Hopefully it'll stick. So we are our youth entrepreneur focus. So since we're in like this transition year of not having a garden, we decided to do an indoor classroom garden and make a business out of it. So we are going to do plant starts and hopefully herb mixes. If our herb plants will survive to be able to go into the ground, because this is definitely a trial and error this year. Like we're going to make lots of mistakes. We're going to learn from it fully prepared for all of that. Like this is our like we're just like this is our pilot year basically what we're gonna call it. So we have these little grow stations set up in each classroom. So this is just with my fourth and fifth graders that I'm doing this with. So we have little grow stations, and then I gave each classroom like their own focus area of what we're growing so that we're not like overwhelming them with like, four or five different varieties of plants. So we have a focus area. This right here with the kids in it, they are doing broccoli and cauliflower, and then we have a tomato room, we have an herb room, and then we have bell peppers. So these two rooms are doing the best. We probably are gonna have to replant some things and, hopefully it'll be ready to sell. We have three core lessons that I kind of designed this program around. So we have our intro to entrepreneurship, our marketing, and then our pricing and profit. So we'll look a little bit more in details about how I have that structured and stuff next. Hopefully that link works. You're on mute, Margaret.
It didn't pull up, but that's okay because I've got the other less like I've got the PDF that you sent me, so I'll just pull that
Okay,
really quick.
cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we will look into how I just broke those three lessons up. So this is our intro lesson, and when I started this one, I also like a slideshow went with this, and I showed them like actual youth businesses, but like kids that are like in their community, so that they had more of a connection. And then also I showed them just like a youth business in the States, which was the McDowell County Youth Producers and their pickle business. But I wanted them to really see like a kid's face that they knew to make that connection to like, and for someone in their community to just realize like, hey, like I can do this too. Jenny's laughing. And I also designed this business plan with in mind that, it's not just going to be like geared toward our plant business. I want it to be very broad so that they can take this like outline and use it for any type of business that they would want to start, which is, obviously the hopes of this will inspire them to do something on their own. So we start out with, like what's the big idea? We talk about what's a product versus service, how we could turn our skills into a service, even with gardening and stuff. So we talked, in pretty detail about that. And then we started talking about like the startup of the cost. So we like listed everything that it would take for us to just run this plant business. So we're going through like all of this together as a class, just designing and like building this business plan to really get them to start thinking of like how do you would start something from the ground up. And then we start talking about, who are our competitors? Like who are in our community? Who are we competing against? And how can we stand out from them? How can we be successful? And then from there, we divided them into business teams. So we ended up having three business teams. And then after we have these three core meetings, we'll have a business meeting. So where we'll have a meeting with our individual teams. So we have a sales team, we have a marketing team, and then we have plant caretakers is what they're called. So they're the ones that take care of the watering, making sure the grow lights are turned on, all of that stuff, and then fertilizing. And then naming our business, which is always super fun. And since we have four different classrooms uh, participating in this project, each classroom submitted one name, and then we all are voting on that name. So we're currently tied. So I don't have a name for their business just yet. But after next week, we should have that name. If you want to go down to page 2, if you're able to. Okay, perfect. The page on the left will be lesson number 2. So we'll start talking about our target market, who our customers are, who we're trying to target, and then we'll start talking about how we're going to advertise for our business and start creating those marketing materials, and then where we're going to advertise at and where we're going to sell our products at. So are we going to set up at a farmer's market? Are we going to post that we have, plants for sale online and start like taking pre-orders? So like I'm like fully letting them, like they're the ones sort of like steering the ship, and I'm just, guiding them along because I don't want it to be my ideas. Like I want this to be fully like what they want it to be. And then we are going to start designing their logo next week. So we're going to get on Canva. We'll play around with like online stuff. we'll draw things. Like if they want to like create posters by drawing, we'll do that. And like if they want to create online advertising stuff, like I'm gonna try and give them like that whole like full experience of actually creating some marketing materials. And then our third lesson together, we'll start talking about all the pricing and the profit. So how are we going to price our products? So we'll talk about you know what is it? Profit equals income minus expenses. So we'll have to list all of our expenses, how much it took to actually grow like that tomato plant, grow the broccoli and cauliflower. So we'll actually do like a lot of this will be a big math lesson, which will be a lot of fun to incorporate into it of how we get that price and like what we actually spent to grow those plants. So that'll be a whole lesson with them. And then we're going to decide on how much we charge, right? So those are our three core lessons. I tried not to make it like super overwhelming because, obviously, like starting a business, there's a lot of information that can be thrown at you. And I really wanted to gear it toward their age level and not make it very overwhelming and not take up too much class time because, you're limited on the class time that you do get. And you only have 40 minutes. So it really had to be to the point, not overwhelming, and still like getting that full business plan developed. So that's why I decided to go with those three core lessons.
Are you ready to jump back into these
Yeah,
slides?
for sure. Sorry. So plans for the future. So what I'm hoping this turns into is my fourth graders taking over the plant cell, like the plant business, and that will be like their intro to entrepreneurship. And I'm hoping my fifth graders will then turn into them looking into like their own personal businesses. So, and then we will host a youth entrepreneur business fair where they all come together as vendors and selling their products or advertising their service, all that good stuff. And then, of course, we could have our fourth graders there as well selling their plants. So that is what the hope of it growing into becomes. And that might be a few years down the road. I don't know if it'll necessarily happen next year. We'll have to see, how well this year goes with them, just with the plants and everything. So hopefully by year three, that's what our fifth graders are doing. But yeah, I've had honestly a decent amount of experience with youth entrepreneurship for 4 or 5 years, like in some form of entrepreneurship with youth. So these are some of the kids that I've worked with. Well, not Mia on the very right with the jewelry. She's a little rock star. She's had a business since gosh, probably since she's been walking. I'm not sure. But so the middle picture is the little daycare kiddos, and that was my project with Sprout School. We grow food with them and stuff, and they started selling stuff. And then the picture on the left is some of the summer camp kids at Linwood, and they had like a little baked good business, baked goods last year, and they would sell them at the farmers market. So farm to school and youth entrepreneurship. So I think it's just a really great thing to bring both of those together. So there's a lot of community connection. It gets them thinking more about their community, the businesses in those communities, how they can be a part of it. A lot of creative learning, not only are they being creative with the business that you're doing with them, but it gets them to start thinking about their own skills or services that they have and talents that they could turn into a money making business. One of my favorite things, and I'm sure the teachers love this well, but there's multiple curriculum connections that you can do with the farm to school and youth entrepreneurship. Real life experiences. Like I'm all about the hands-on learning, giving the kids a real life experience when you are in the classroom and teaching them stuff. Because I know I learn best that way. So like I try to incorporate as much learning styles into my lessons as I can. And then we're creating funding opportunities, not only for our school gardens, but for their business as well. So it's teaching them how to generate that income and keep something sustainable. And these are so just more pictures of my youth entrepreneur stuff that I've done over the years. FFA, they grew pumpkins and sold them one year at farmers markets, and then they ended up selling them wholesale. Again, those two pictures on the right and the left is my little Linwood lizards selling their produce at the farmers market. And then they had last year we specialized in growing just lettuce for the indoor market at Linwood. So that's my little guy, selling his bag of lettuce in there. So it was pretty fun.
Amazing. Well, I think
I
that's your
think that
last
might be
slide.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Well, that's great. I am so excited to see all these connections between farm to school and entrepreneurship. And we'll, yeah, stop here and see if anybody has any questions. And if you do, you're welcome to drop them in the chat or just unmute and ask Erin. But I have a couple of questions. And my first one, what are some of the kid businesses that you highlighted beyond the McDowell County pickle producers?
Mia was one of them. So she has, so well, I love this about like the slideshow because when Mia was 4, it was called Sweet Mia's, and she had honey and she would make soap and lip balm. Like she had bees. Like her and her little beekeeper suit was like the most adorable thing you'll ever see. And then but as she got older, her business changed because her likes changed. So then she started the jewelry business. So I thought that was really cool to just show the kids like, hey, like, if your interests change, like, so can your business. And then her sister, Anna Fresh, has a baked good business. So those were two of them. And then well, then I showed them the Linwood lizards and their little farm stand stuff, and then the McDowell County Youth Producers with their pickles, and they were quite impressed with the names. They thought they were funny. So if you have never heard of the McDowell County Youth Producers and the names of their pickles, they're hilarious. Like the Britney Spears, Hillbilly Chips, Hill. Help me out, Jenny. What are they?
Britney Spears dill Billy chips,
Dillbilly Chips.
and there's Spice Baby, sweet and sassy. Smells like Teen Spirit, and Spirit is SPEAR.
Yeah.
And then what's the something and feisty is the spicy, like
Oh,
fierce and feisty. They're
fierce
fierce
and
and
feisty. Yeah, that's it.
yeah, yeah. I accidentally said yes to a bunch of times.
Yeah,
Those
they're
are
super
also
creative names and they're funny. I mean,
yeah.
I would buy them strictly just because of the name because it just makes me laugh and it's funny. But yeah, the kids got a kick out of that. They thought that was pretty good.
SA
So,
speaks to great marketing, which brings me to my next question. When you break the kids up into the different teams, how many kids are we talking on like the marketing team and on the production team? Yeah, what are the groups like?
I don't think it'll be super huge. Definitely more than 10 for each team. Yeah. So there's 4 different classrooms. Fourth grade's the largest because they have 17 in each class. So maybe like 10, 15 per team, like somewhere around there. Some's probably going to be a little smaller. But I would say that'll probably hit close to what would be on each team.
Yeah. And are the kids generally like enjoying the process of thinking like business owners?
Yeah, I've already had one little girl that come up to me and tell me that like her and one of her friends are starting a business. And like I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to hear more about that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's pretty excited. Like it is like, turning on that light bulb and getting some gears turning, and they're actually starting to think in that direction, which is what, I was hoping that's what the goal is to accomplish, just outside of what we're doing. But we're just trying to set the foundation with giving them, a model of what we're doing and, the business plan layout that they could take and, plug into anything that they wanted to do. So. Be
Yeah.
exciting to see, what's to come.
That's fantastic. We did in third grade, we did econ day at my elementary school, and everybody had to develop a product and turn in a business plan exactly like you're walking the kids through right now. And then it was really fun because we all made our products. I remember I bought a bunch of pins at the dollar store, and then I attached pennants. I went to elementary school in North Carolina, so I put like the little flags on the end of the pins for the big sports teams in North Carolina. So we had UNC, Duke, Wake, all the little mascots. They were on my pins. And then the way that the econ fair worked is the first and second graders got to come through and they got a limited amount of pennies to then buy products from the third graders. So it was an exercise both in business development for the older grades and like budgeting and choices for the younger grades. And then from there, like it sounds like you already have experiencing with these fourth and fifth graders. I'm like, I'm gonna have so many businesses. So we did a lemonade stand that was fun to do and not super financially successful, but great. And then like a duct tape business that was huge. I told Jenny about this the other day because like I sold a fair amount of duct tape products, but only enough to buy more fun, colorful duct tape. Like I really was really never making a profit with this, but
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I'm
Super
really
exciting.
excited to see the business ideas that come out of this because, like you said, I think it's just going to spark more ideas for these kiddos.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well. It'll be fun.
Cool. Well, does anybody else have any other questions
I,
or oh,
I have a question. I know the answer to it, but I want Erin to kind of talk through it. So as you guys all know, Erin and I, like, you might not know this about Erin, but like we're both kind of like do it and then ask permission later kind of people. Um, what what did it take for you to like get permission from the school to do this in like a traditional classroom setting? Like, how did you navigate that, particularly for like
Um,
our partners that are working in schools?
Honestly, like I did not get permission from the principal. I just straight asked the teachers. I said, "Hey, like we won't have a garden this year. We're in a transition period. This is what I can do, and this is what we can, what I can offer, and I'll design the whole program for you guys." Um, and they're pretty chill, anyways, and are always kind of down for whatever I'm gonna come in and do. So, I mean, we're still gardening, but it's just an indoor classroom. So we kind of just shifted what we're doing. And then they were really excited about like the business side of it because, it can plug in some more curriculum related things. And we've gotten to do some lessons that I don't normally get to do this year just because we're in that transition. So we did a garden and mapping class and site selection, which is a part of like a learn, grow, eat, go lesson that I don't normally teach because we already had a garden. So there was some new things I got to add in and teach, that we don't normally do. But I mean, I'm sure the principal will be excited. I'm not sure that he does know exactly what we're doing, but this
That's the
is where
best way
we
to do
ask
it
for the
sometimes.
permission later, right? Or forgiveness. But no, he's always down for like whatever. Like they love when I come into the school and stuff. So I don't, yeah, foresee that being an issue.
And is this part of your, because you wear so many hats, is this part of your nutrition hat or is this part of your farm to school hat? Or yes.
Both, because I'm
Okay.
teaching like nutrition alongside of it. But I would say that's more of like a little bit of a farm to school hat. But yeah, it's hard to say. Sometimes it's like a gray area, I feel like, because it could be either or. But that one's more farm to school. But I am when I'm there teaching nutrition as well. So
great. Any more questions for Erin? Oh, yeah, there's one in the chat. Do you teach them anything about licensing?
I haven't yet, but I was actually just thinking of that today while I was driving about getting like how registering the business and like that type of stuff. I think if we it came to it with how like it's gonna depend on how well like it grows and stuff. Right now, no, because I don't want to like overwhelm them. Um, but I do think, yeah, that will definitely be something to touch on when it comes to it and when, it's time to talk about it. When we were not like licensing in general, but that kind of just like sparked another thought. Like we did talk a little bit about like the West Virginia, like the cottage food laws and like that type of stuff. So we did touch base on that, just kind of trying to spark some ideas of what they like could be capable of in their state and how to navigate those rules and regulations. Good to know, Jenny. Not breaking any laws.
I mean, the way we did it with the Producers Association is we filed an LLC that like three adults were the contacts for, but that LLC covered any youth business like that. So not only did it cover like the agriculture business, but it covered like when two of the girls were like, we want to do a coffee shop that's a pop-up coffee shop, and we accidentally won a contest. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure, why not? So we took on all the liability of all that, which is scary to think about initially, but it actually made it, in my opinion, it made it a lot safer because then all the
Yeah.
kids at least are under one umbrella.
Yeah. And then labeling the products could be a fun class. Yeah, absolutely. That will be a lot of fun to do. And we could spend like a whole, oh yeah, like a whole class, maybe two classes even, really diving into that. So I foresee some additional lessons coming out of this. Once I'm done, I'll probably continue to. I've been keeping my like Tuesdays like open for them to keep coming back, and they're in school till like June 3rd, June something. So yeah, I'm sure they need some time to, some class time to fill. So I'll probably pop in and continue to do some lessons and get things like ready to go to market and stuff. And that's when we'll add on some more of those fun like business lessons like that and get all their products ready to sell, make them look pretty. They already, what did they say one day? We were talking about how their products could stand out from other ones, and they literally told me that they would bedazzle every last container. And I was like, wow, like all right, we gonna really put a lot of time into this. So yeah, there's been some funny conversations that have definitely come out of this.
Fun. Well, that's awesome. Thank you again, Erin, for being here and talking
Yeah,
about
you're welcome.
the cool stuff that you guys have got going on in Pocahontas County. We've got a few more Sprout School things, so Erin, you're welcome to go or stick around because it's just talking about we've got an upcoming gathering and Learning Lab 4, all these things that you've been through before. Uh,
Thank you guys. I'm gonna go. We're gonna try and take a walk while it's still daylight
oh
out.
yeah, as you should. I love that there's still sunshine at 7:30,
Yeah.
so enjoy.
We had snow this morning,
Oh my gosh.
like a tiny little bit of snow, and I was like, what is this? Like this is not real.
Hey,
But yeah, it's like okay right now. It's not super cold. So
yeah,
all right, I'll see you guys. Thank you for having me.
thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so as I said, we've just got a couple of things to chat about, and one of them is the project evaluation, also known as Learning Lab 4. So, this project evaluation has several steps to it, and it's just due whenever you complete your Sprout School project. So, technically, our Sprout School cohort wraps up mid May, but if you have not completed your project by that time, that's okay. Well, yeah, accept that learning lab whenever you finish it. So, walking through this learning lab, step one is outcomes. What really happened? So you submit your original goals and your project proposal, and then just let us know what happened with those goals as you implemented your project. Step two is an assessment of those outcomes. So you've talked about like, okay, all right, these were our goals. Here's what happened. Well, did it work well? Was it not so easy to implement? Was it really much more easier to implement than you anticipated? All of that feedback is great feedback. And then step 3, and you'll see an example budget at the bottom of this slide, is to give us your actual budget. If it differed from your project proposal, if it didn't, you can just note that, and that's totally fine. Step 4 is to give us the numbers, how many kids you work with, how many pounds of food were grown, how many lessons you created. Really anything you can quantify is super helpful for us. This part of the project evaluation is so that we can give these numbers to our funders, because funders love to hear great stories of the cool work that you all are doing, and they also like to see that paired with numbers. So we appreciate you all taking the time to put some thought into this project evaluation, and we're excited to see those project reflections, and they also help us moving forward to keep funding for Sprout School flowing. So then our last couple of steps, and all of these, I'm like, there are 9 steps, but these answers do not have to be, they don't have to be super long. We don't want this to take you guys a super long time. We just broke them up because we're interested in collecting a fair amount of information. So step 5 is words for advice. If someone was going to implement your project in the next Sprout School cohort, what would you like them to know? Step 6 is like any other people that joined the project who weren't in the initial project plan, any press that to cover the project. We love to see you guys getting awesome shout outs in local news, or to help connect you all to local news outlets. So yeah, feel free to add that as a comment in step 6. Step 7, your final project timeline. Again, like the budget, if it's the same as what you submitted in your proposal, you can just write same as proposal, and that's perfect. But if it changed a bit, let us know. And then step 8, send us photos. Another thing that we love so much is to see cute photos from your projects, because it's so cool to see the awesome things you guys are doing with kiddos. And the final step is to let us know if this Sprout School project has spurred more ideas for things to do in the future. And if it hasn't, that's totally okay. We're just interested in, like last year we had one group, Annie, who spoke at the very beginning of this Sprout School cohort, and she did the family farm day along with her husband Rob up in Winchester, and these donkey tea parties that were really fun. She pulled in folks from the community to come, and they got to snack on some treats from a local bakery and tea that Annie had made, and the donkeys were also there, and they could feed the donkeys snacks. Anyway, her takeaway was like, yeah, this actually worked really well, and we want to do it again. So things like that, if that's you. Okay, any questions about this project evaluation? I'm going to send this out via email when I do my wrap-up email for you guys. And it's also on our Monday. It's on our learn.future.edu, our Sprout School website. If you're connected to that, I know some folks joined the cohort later, so there might not be folks on the Moodle page, but if you are, you can also find the link to submit the project evaluation there. But if not, it's totally fine to send it to me via email. Okay. Well, if there are no questions about that, then we will jump into our very exciting update. Thank you to everyone who responded to our Spring Garden Support Network meeting interest form, because there was interest in having our spring gathering at the FGU office, and we're so pumped. As you can see from this photo on the right, and we were talking about in the last Sprout School session, our office is like one big tree house, and it is a really beautiful space on the inside, and it is also super beautiful on the outside. So I'll jump to the next slide really quickly. These are some photos from our spring in-person Sprout School gathering that happened here last year. So as you can see in the photo on the top right-hand corner of this slide. The mountains, that's the view from our office, and they turn green in the springtime, and we will have tasty things to eat and fun things to do. So come hang out with us. And I think I said this in the last session too, but there's housing available if you want to stay either the Friday night before or the Saturday night after the Sprout School gathering, because it will be Saturday, May 17th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You are welcome to do that. And you are also welcome to bring anyone you want to, friends, significant others, kiddos. We've got space to house them, we've got food to feed them, and we've got fun things for them to do. So yeah, the more the merrier. We would love to see lots of you guys at this event. And the sign up form for this gathering will also go out in my wrap up email from Sprout School. Okay, any questions about the gathering from anybody?
Do you have a plan of what you're going to be presenting?
Yeah, great question. So the big topics that we're thinking about are composting, school garden safety, just kind of thinking about some policy, like farm to school policy and how that works on a state level and then on a federal level as well. And then our other topic is the importance of local. So there will be some fun activities around, yeah, why basically like activities you can do with kids to walk them through. All right, if you get a strawberry from California or Mexico, here's what it looks like to get it to your grocery store, or if you buy a strawberry locally, like here's how that influences the community. So activities like that kind of help explain that concept for kids. We'll do some of those hands-on activities.
Yeah, I will say that we'll probably include like this will be a lot more hands-on than the Charleston one. Those of you that sat through the Grant Insanity of Charleston. And we're gonna gear like there will be a lot of our activities thus far have been like very pre-K through 5 oriented. We're gonna have those, but then these are also gonna be like pushing into that secondary ed role too, particularly around some of the advocacy work, because sometimes the best people to scream for local food at the school system are the kids themselves. So yeah, the best thing we could have done in McDowell County was have 15 kids from Mountain View High School go and tell the child nutrition director they wanted lettuce from the guy down the street.
Do you think this is something that Amanda with our office?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I was gonna say, like, the other thing,
I'll
guys,
invite
is
her.
like we're calling it Sprout School Network, but like it's the Sprout School Network is not just people in Sprout School. Like literally anybody that like if you have teachers that want to come for like the day but don't want to participate in a 9-month program, like that's totally cool.
Okay.
One
I'll
of the
invite
best
her.
things that happened in Charleston is like we had 2 people that weren't engaged with us directly that came, and it was great and it was fantastic. And they added a lot to the conversation because they're doing different stuff.
She has, I mean, she's new enough that her spirit hasn't been broken yet. She still has like great energy
Well aware.
excitement.
Yeah, no,
So
I mean, well, and I
I
mean,
think,
and Sherry, I mean, just tell Amanda it's us, and like she can totally spend the night.
oh, awesome. I'll let her know. Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. Oh my gosh, wow, I'm in the dark. I had no idea.
You're North Mountain, not known. Okay, true. Office is great, not known for its good lighting after dark.
No, I just like, I can see you guys so well, and I hadn't been looking at myself at all. I had no idea that I'm just a shadow of myself. Um, yeah, but I think that was all that I had. So, unless there are any other questions from you guys, we can say goodbye, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye.
Come visit us. Come visit us.
Yeah, come visit us, please. Come see us.
Pendleton County is pretty in May. It's the best season for Pendleton County is May.
Agreed. Well, I don't know. I also think October with the leaves is a breathtaking time in Pendleton
I'm a swimming hole girl.
County.
And the rock climbers aren't there yet in May to take up all the swimming.
Great point. Great point. Okay. Bye, guys.